Hey, we are going to start a project at home. So we have this shed currently on our driveway. We have a ton of goats back there. But we're going to take this shed and also put it up there because we need a milking stand area for our goats. And I'm going to take this material and I'm going to build a big shed here. About a 12 by 24. I'm going to go ahead and put it together by myself. I went to go buy one and they wanted like $10,000 for one. So this material here, including siding and a metal roof, was about $5,000. To me, it's worth a couple weekends to get it done myself, save me half the money. Plus, I get to put it on YouTube, so why not? Anytime you get dimensional lumber, typically, unless you're ordering specific stud length, your lumber will come just a little bit long. So you've got to measure. These are supposed to be 12s. Actual measurement, 12 and a half. So I'm going to cut it down because I don't want it sticking past. I've got this thing designed to be a full 24, and that's it. I don't want any more. Okay. As you can see, I've got kind of parallel lines happening here. Been measuring in between. I'm going about 35 and 3/8 in between each one. That'll give me even dimensions, and it'll leave at the very end here on this side, and then back here when I put my last one in, the two edges will be exactly 10 feet apart. And if I need to throw in more stickers, if I ever need this thing moved, I will. But for now, I'd rather just have even dimensions. With this tool shed that we're building, I'm going to build it similar to a portable shed. And if you don't know what the difference is, it is kind of a non-invasive, as far as land goes, way of building a shed so that you're not digging into the ground, you're not messing up the ground. You're merely putting some 4x4s down, or bigger if you want to go bigger, and they are acting as girders for your floor joists to sit on, but they are also known as skids, and it allows the sheds, you see there's a little taper on the front end. Also on the back end, there's a taper on it. But it allows the portable building guys to pick up this shed with their truck, or they have a machine called a mule, and it allows to go across flat, smooth surfaces quite easily without damaging the building, and it holds the whole thing together. So I'm going to lay out my 4x4s. I'm gonna do 4 sets of them. Since I am going 12 feet wide by 24 feet, I wanna make sure that there's enough skids so that my 2x4 floor joists aren't spanning too far. Now I've measured the 2 outside skids, which are the skids that are put onto the truck, and the outside dimensions is 8 feet. So I don't wanna be any more than 8 feet on any 2 sets of skids, so that it can be moved at any point if we ever decide to leave here, or I want to move it on a different part of my property like I'm doing with this shed. I'm going to start with 1, and I'm going to work my way back with all 4 sets. I've got blocks over here that I'm going to work with a 4-inch block over here, and the ground kind of slopes that way, so we're going to build it up to where it's leveled all the way through. block down somewhere. Hell, right now this kind of looks like it needs to be tilted. Here's my torpedo level. Definitely needs to come down on that back end. So I've got a decent distance here. Close, but not perfect. I will say, if you have to shim up your skids on your building that you are getting ready to put up, make sure that whatever it is that you use to shim up your skids, that it is weather resistant. So I've got some pressure treated 2x4s here on this stack. Got a couple same, and I've got a cutoff right here from the end of one of my 4x4s. I also have some cutoffs from some 1x decking material, and I brought up, instead of using my zip system and cutting into a whole new piece, I have some leftover of my LP Smart Side, the lap siding from the last job. So that is a big tip. Do not put something underneath to shim up your skids that is not weather resistant or allowable to touch concrete block. All right, so everything is level, not only this direction, but also this direction, at least within 1/8. And again, this is just a shed, so I'm not too concerned about 1/8 inch. Now, I will need to continue to put more blocks underneath about halfway. This would probably suffice, but with my tools, I want to make a little bit of a workstation inside this shed, so I want this thing to be as solid as possible. I'm using 2x4 floor joists treated, and I'm going to go 16 on center just so that it is nice and solid. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some more blocking in about halfway between each set, and these ones I'm not going to be too concerned about. I'm just going to kind of get a block up there, make sure it touches, and call it good. I may even just cut some treated 2x4 and block down to one concrete block, and then we could start actually taking the string to these edges and get these even. They're pretty close right now, but I want to make sure that they're exact so that when I build my floor, it is square. I'm also going to take some treated 2x4, maybe just some 16-inch, maybe 2 foot, and I'm going to tie each of these joints together so that this will act as one continuous 4x4. As you can see, I've got a doubled 2x4 post coming down in the centers where I have my middle and end blocking. And I wasn't too precise about any of it. Kind of got it semi-level and then just held it down to the ground and marked it, cut it, put a couple pieces together. There you go. So now everything is level and I am ready for cutting my floor joists. Now when you're planning out something like a shed, like I am, and I wanted to do a 12x24, the reality is my floor, I don't actually want an exact 12, because when you buy subflooring, which in my case, I bought the Advantech subflooring, 3/4 inch tongue and groove here, but they are short by a 1/2 inch by the time that tongue goes into the groove, and it has the 1/8 inch gap. So if I went exactly 12 feet, I would be short by about 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna cut all my joists back an extra 1.5 inches so that when I am finished, my subfloor covers all of my floor joists on top of my rim. All right, I've got all of my floor joists cut. They're all the same size. I know they're all kind of walking at the moment. This first one is set. Got it on each skid, and I have cut an 8 and a quarter inch block that'll help me so that while I'm putting these on, the two outsides hang over the exact same amount. The two in the center, I'm just going to tack them down right where they sit. I don't really care if they're perfect. They should be as close as they're gonna get anyways. They're gonna be pretty close because I was measuring it as I put the skids in. So if they're an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch off halfway down, it doesn't really matter too much. What matters is the outside ones. I want them to be perfectly parallel and hanging off the exact same amount on each side. And then I will cut my rim joists and attach those once I get all of my floor joists attached to the skids. And I'm just gonna take my Milwaukee battery powered framing nailer with some galvanized nails, 3 inch, and I'm going to toe nail in probably one on each side, maybe 2 on each side, on each skid, on each floor joist, and that should be sufficient. This outside one, I put some 3 inch deck screws in. That way I knew exactly where it was. It wasn't gonna kick over from the nail. This shouldn't take too long at all. I'm gonna go ahead and tack these down, cut my rim joists, get this floor done. Well, that is it for today. I have these pre-cut. These are my rim joists. I've got 16s and I've got 8s. It'll give me a total of 24. And because I'm gonna double that up, I'm going to overlap my joints. So I ran my 16 from that end this way, and I've got my 8-footer, and the next one I'm gonna run my 16 from that end, go past that joint and do my 8-footer all over there. And I'll do the same thing on the other end. It'll make this thing nice and strong. I'm not ever putting 2 joints on the same floor joist. It'll tend to wanna go up or down, kind of look jagged and crooked. So that's one thing you don't wanna do. Go ahead and lap your joints whenever possible. Same with your floor. When you start putting your subfloor on, you don't want one line running the length of one joist. A lot of nails coming in, it could split the joists. It'll start looking jagged and just, it doesn't look great. So go ahead and stagger your joints. Pro tip.